One question that I get asked a lot is living and traveling in India hard? And it's a difficult question, of course, without an easy answer, but I'm going to answer that for you now. So before I talk about is living in India hard, I need to just tell you a story about where I'm from, because to me, living in India is such a good fit naturally. However, if you don't know the backstory, it may not fit for you. So hopefully this will help. I'm from a forest in Michigan. My family grew up on a house in the country in Michigan. I spent a lot of my time as a kid climbing trees and like hanging out by myself in the forest or with my family. So I'm used to like a quiet, natural environment. So is India hard? Yeah, I mean, all these people everywhere, it can get a little bit much at times. Coming off the plane, you walk out of the airport and, it's like, wow, it's a lot of sensory stimulation. So is India hard? Number one, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of traffic. It's the second most populated country in the world. There are people everywhere. Even this is a relatively small town, and there are people everywhere all the time, it seems like. So that's the first thing. The second thing that a lot of people are going to think of is, what about scams? And what about being taken advantage of because you're a foreigner? Well, in my personal experience, the big challenge is the culture is constantly negotiating things. Just because someone tells you a price, it's understood that that's not the final price, that's the start of a negotiation. So that can be challenging because it just takes energy for you to figure out, okay, well, he's telling me it's 100. That, like, where do I don't even know what the price is because you're new. So, and then I think the draining part about that is less that you might lose out on a few dollars and more like, is this guy gonna get the best of me? Or am I gonna feel taken advantage of? So I feel like, do I pay more for certain services? Yeah, I do probably pay more. I know, just small things. A chai, I'm gonna pay 10 rupees. Local guy, gonna pay less, 7 rupees. If you're like a real local guy who knows the guy, a few rupees. So we're talking about a few cents. As long, for me, what I take solace in, if I can avoid getting ripped off for hundreds of dollars, I'm happy. I don't mind bleeding a little, losing some money here and there, because overall this place is so inexpensive. It's like 70%. The cost of living here is 70% cheaper than America. And in many ways, there's a higher quality of life. In some ways. That's not fully true in everything, or depending on where you live. But I'm really happy living here. Anyways, moving along. So we got the people, scams, the heat. Number 3, I came from Austin, Texas. It's also hot there. So I like the heat personally. It is really hot in the summertime, and I didn't go outside much. I work online, so I can do that, and I don't mind going out for a chai for 30 minutes, and it's, hey, like a little hotness, it's like going to the sauna for me. But if you are really sensitive to heat, then it is going to be challenging. Fourth thing, is it dirty? Yeah, it is kind of dirty. Not everywhere. You'll go to some cities and there'll be neighborhoods that are very clean. But I think on the whole, the sanitation system could be really improved, and the trash disposal system. Hey, you know, if I was living here, this was my country, if I was an entrepreneur, I might set something like that up. Maybe there's a good reason why it's not. I'm just a new guy who's making my way here, traveling, so what do I know? But if you're a germaphobe, this is not the country for you. Let's just say that. I throw on some hand sanitizer, I take showers, I wash my hands when I can. I feel like it's a clean enough place, and the dirt adds a little bit of charm. You know, like look at this. So these are the dumpsters where people would throw their trash, and then they'll be emptied now and again. Another thing, is India safe? Well, to answer that question, first off, for women, there are some real dangers, and I don't feel like I'm the best person to address that. If you were to search female safety on YouTube, you're going to find some women who've traveled and you know, explain their situation, and they can give you a first-person perspective. I heard from female friends that had situations that were scary, people coming up to them in the daytime in a public place and groping them, or definitely making harassing type comments. Also had women who've come here for years and say they feel safer here than they feel in the USA. So I'm gonna let you handle that from my perspective. Is it safe? I like cities like Detroit. I'm from Michigan. I like cities like New Orleans, these cities that have some culture. There's a certain vibrancy, and there's also a certain, you know, there's certain places you don't go at night. There's a certain approach you take to how to live there. I used to go to New York City with my Nana, and you know, she'd give you the the spiel. You're like a little kid, you know, your little fanny pack and your Polaroid camera going into the city. And you know, she's like, okay, look like you know what you're doing. Don't sit around and look at a map. You know, don't talk to strangers. You know, don't pick up anything. Don't touch this. So there's a certain obviously common sense factor here. Yes, you're more of a target. I'm walking around with the camera right now. Obviously, there's a certain knowledge I have that, all right, you know, if someone wanted to rob me, I would be a target. So the things that I do are to, you know, I don't go out at night too much, and just general common sense stuff. Another thing that can be hard about living in India, power outages. The power goes out once a month for 8 hours. It's scheduled power cut. And then it can be as regular as every day for short periods of time where the power will just go out. That's pretty rare. Recently it hasn't went out for maybe a week. Usually it's for 30 minutes, for an hour. If there's a big storm, the power goes out for more time. And there has been more storms now because it's in the monsoon season. So if I'm editing a video, that can be annoying. But overall, I can work full-time online, and it's not a problem. There are places that have generators too, so you just go to a nice restaurant and work there. The internet's actually pretty good in this place and in the places that I have been. It's not that great in certain hotels. It's not that great in places like Goa. You can search online too to find the internet speeds. Check out my post on Nomad, how good is the internet in India, and that'll give you a good overview on the internet. Another thing is the water. I never drank tap water in Austin, Texas. It's a little, but you could drink it. The fact that you can't drink the tap water here and it might make you really sick is a little scary and inconvenient in practical matters when considering whether to buy or go to a certain restaurant or buy a certain street food. You always need to think, is there potentially tap water in this? So typically I'm a pretty adventurous eater. I'll try anything. Here I'm more on the germaphobe side. We're like, you know what? It's not worth it. Maybe you'll have a different strategy, but that's approach that's worked for me so far. I've had minor bowel things without getting into details, but I've never puked. I haven't been really sick, and overall the health has been good. Air quality in some cities like Delhi, the air pollution is really an issue. In a place like where I'm at, it's a town. It's not that bad. I never wear a mask. There are times where if I climb up the mountain and I'm looking at views, you can tell there's pollution, or people are burning their trash, people are burning their leaves, cars have less, I don't know what it's called, the smoke that comes out, you know, it's pretty black. This is a technical term for it. And, you know, it's not the greatest, but, you know, right now I'm walking down the street. The smell is nice. It's a warm day, but it's not overly hot. It's pleasant. I can go out and, you know, there's friendly people around. I can get a chai, and life is good. So to wrap up the video, is life in India hard? Yeah, it is hard in certain ways. And it's also easy in other ways. It's easy in the sense that I pay less than 25% of what I paid for rent in Austin, Texas, at a house that is much nicer. Transportation, I can get a taxi. I'm going to the beach later this week, so for $40 I can get a taxi 4 hours away, get a hotel room for like $15 near the beach in this French colonial city, and extremely reasonably priced. The people are so friendly and warm. You know, aside from the initial people who are trying to make money off you being a tourist, which is a thing that I've already spoken a bit about, but you know, the people, you ask genuine people who are probably going to be a bit more shy to speak with you, they're so warm and they're so hospitable. In their culture, you know, in Hinduism, the guest is God, and in India, the guest is often treated like God, and you can just see a smile on their face when they can help you out, or give something to you, or, you know, learn about your culture. They're curious. I've had great experiences with the people here. For me personally, it's just a good fit. I feel like I am drawn to a culture that's colorful and exciting, and you know, has its quirks, but for me it's a good fit. Maybe it is for you. If you want to learn more, I put even more reasons about why living in is hard and how you can address them on my website, Chai Nomad, so head there now, go check it out. And there's also other articles, like if you also get tired of things like negotiating prices, I figured out a simple script so I could do it easily with less, you know, psychological, like, oh, how do I figure this out? There's just a simple process I follow. So you can check out how to get a fair price on a rickshaw there as well. Hope you liked the video. More coming soon.